quote I heard from a young PDAer the other morning: "School is an inescapable dungeon where they control everything about me." If that doesn't convey why it's not as simple as finding ways to encourage them to go in, I don't know what will. School refusal is a non-word. It suggests mere unwillingness on the part of the child, that school is nothing but a dull experience that isn't quite to the liking of what is assumed to be an arrogant school refuser. Does it make us arrogant to prioritise and preserve our own safety and well-being? To avoid invalidating environments in which our very humanity and will to live comes under threat. The starkly eloquent quote, such as that above, made by the young PDAer, should be a warning sign, heeded by all. To some neurodivergent kids, the experience of school is a hellish nightmare. In my view, and from my own personal experience, the worst thing about all this is that the trauma one experiences as a neurodivergent child is intangible and incomprehensible to one's fellow non-autistic students. So many of them seemed fine, unaffected, and even empowered by the school experience, where I and my fellow students neither understood nor possessed the knowledge of neurodivergence as a valid explanation for the nature of my difficulties. The only possible explanation left was that I was weak and incapable compared to the others. This is why understanding invalidation is so crucial. What I find traumatic, others may not, and vice versa. When looking at the world through the prism of neurodiversity, it's easier to understand why a neurodivergent student finds the school environment so traumatic. But if this prism is absent, the blame falls on the likes of us for getting it wrong or making a big deal out of nothing. Forms of deprivation we can agree on, to deprive someone of food, water, or shelter. Forms of deprivation that might not be as obvious, to deprive an autistic child of their interests. Yes, our passionate interests as autistic people are neurological necessities, without which life becomes meaningless and pointless. Add systemic pressure to be like others, and the pathologization of our own way of being to the mix, and the result of which could be some very unhappy people indeed. School is an inescapable dungeon where they control everything about me. A very powerful, eloquent and clear message from a young PDAer. The environments that many of us are expected to be a part of are literally crushing us. Without a good understanding of neurodivergence, the complacency of those in charge of said environments persist. Not only is the onus placed on the struggling neurodivergent individual to change who they are, but the very struggles of the neurodivergent individual are either downplayed or mistaken for a bad attitude, and their very neurodivergence might be at best insufficiently understood or at worst dismissed altogether. There is no school refusal. What we are witnessing is school's rejection of authenticity.